Hi, this is Keith Weber with the Top Executive Strategy Podcast, where CEOs, COOs, and business owners share strategies for better success. This is 6 questions in 9 minutes because the best strategies are concise business advice. And so we're going to get right to our guest today. And with question number one, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, thank you very much for having me on the podcast. It's great to kind of share my knowledge, and I feel honored to be asked to come on. But my name is Chris Smetana. I'm the CEO here at IAMed, which is Immediate Action Medicine, and we're an online medical education and training company that we focus predominantly for the critical care and pre-hospital environment.
And I imagine you've been busy the last couple of years in particular.
Absolutely. Since March, in February, we were predominantly an in-person training company. And with COVID and everything that struck, I was in the middle of a Guatemalan jungle teaching survival, and we had to pivot. And now we are 100% online. So we've learned a lot through adversity and the challenges through the pandemic. And we've actually grown significantly because of that. So, for some people, it might be a downfall, but for us, it was a windfall. And we've learned and adapted to that.
And had some great success. Yes. Well, congratulations on that. And speaking of that, question number two, what's the best thing that's been about being a business leader?
I think one of the best things about being a business leader is if you like to grow things, or, when I was a little kid, I always liked to build my Legos and I like to create different things. Even if the instructions say do it this way, I'd always kind of go outside the box. One of the things that I've found as being a business leader is I have the ability to push the envelope and not only look for the ceiling, but break the ceiling and disrupt an industry that currently has been doing the same thing for the same reasons in the same way for probably the last decade or so. In public safety, it's very rooted in culture, and we've always done it this way. And I'm opposite of that. Even though I'm into the industry, I pulled a lot from outside industries to help me shape and change and adjust what I think could be the future for EMS and medical training.
That's great. And a great time to innovate, like you said, 2020 in particular, but even going forward, a lot of innovation that's possible. So
absolutely. I think through adversity, we find failures, but we also find a lot of success out of those failures.
Very well said. All right. Question number three. I hear from other business leaders that the people strategy in their business can be more challenging than the actual business strategy in running their business. Your thoughts?
I think people strategy is the new business strategy, especially for these new up and growing startups and entrepreneurs like myself. I don't have any formal business training at all. I was a line guy who was injured on the job and had to make a career pivot. And here I am. What I have found, though, through those challenges and, focusing corely on my people or my individuals that make the IAMed Corporation and the IAMed team, people you can't change. They bring culture, they bring perspective, they bring diversity. Those all drive innovation, different perspectives and ideas that I welcome from our whole team. And I like that because, we want to hear what the boots on the ground and what the end user is experiencing so we can adapt and make it easier and, more efficient to get to either the information or the training. So I do think, while I do have business strategies, in quarterly board meetings and things like that to show the growth of the company, and that does actually make our company kind of unique, I think, in our space, especially. Some of our core values, for example, might be very different from other businesses, but, we like our number one, it would be ride or die. And reason being is you have to be very committed to the passion of the project and the mission at hand. We also care about people. That's one of our core values is we care because we do care about not only the individuals that we serve and our customers and our students, but also our own people and making sure that we're growing them professionally, personally, and being kind of a stand-up example of what an employer should be. And I like being that industry leader in that way, and being a CEO and being an entrepreneur gives me that opportunity.
A lot of good insights there. The one thing I really liked is you were talking about how people don't change as far as their core of, their drives and also the culture they bring with them and the background that they bring with them. And like you said, you really have to understand your employees and adapt to them somewhat as well. So absolutely, great insights.
You have to invest in your employees if you really want to see the company grow sustainably and responsibly. And I think, in the past, some businesses have focused on more of the business strategy than the people. And that may or may not worked out for them, but we have found a tremendous amount of success in investing in our own people.
Well, great. Awesome. Well, question number four then. What strategy would you like to share with other business leaders?
Well, I think, as I mentioned, when you first reached out, I think when you look at, how does personal accountability from the organizational standpoint, play into just how we treat our employees, how we treat our customers, and how that downstream effect really kind of can help grow not only your company, but give you in the leadership role a tremendous amount of support. One of the things that you probably have heard before is, leading down, right? Which is a common thing we do as leaders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, managers, director of operations, whatever your role is. If you're in a manager role, you're always kind of leading down, but we don't often think about leading up and actually fostering that type of culture within our organization. And what I mean by leading up is, I might give my subordinates, direction or left and right, limits, or hey, a direct order of completing a task or getting something completed or done on a project. However, I do very much foster the growth of leading up, where our employees actually will come back, and because there might be times where I'm not on my A game, and I might miss a perspective here or there, and I might be leading the company or a project, a steer, and I don't want to do that. And by fostering that kind of growth and that enabling that employee to lead up and know that it's safe to lead up, because I think that's where they get a lot of fear, is like, oh, I don't want to say anything because I'll get in trouble. I don't want to bring up a good idea because it just always gets squandered down. We actually don't, have those kind of limitations or barriers, and we try to remove those barriers any way we can. That could be with a monthly coffee with the CEO that I do a Zoom link, and we get everybody on the company on that wants to come. It's not mandatory, but if they want to, ask any question they can. We always have that open door policy. But really, what does that open door policy and leading up mean? It means, well, I expect my team to not only listen to the orders or the directives that they've been given, but also to recognize when to maybe necessarily not disobey them, but push back in a respectful but also productive manner. And a lot of companies kind of, at least in my experience, have not done a good job at that. They always feel like, hey, do it, do as I say, not as I do kind of mentality. And that, you got to lead by example. So first off, we talk about ownership. You have to own when you make a mistake or you drop the ball, and let everybody know that it's okay. We do make mistakes. We're infallible. We're humans. But at the end of the day, we can learn from those mistakes and turn those failures into a success. And that's ultimately what we want to do. But how do we get to that point? Well, it comes with culture within the organization. Having that culture where I can have anyone within the organization, no matter where you are on that tier of responsibility, you can reach out to the CEO, the DO, the president, anyone within that organization, and give them a good idea, give them and share your perspective, and know that it's going to be not only welcomed, but we're going to listen. And if it's a good idea, or if it's needs more looking into, we're actually going to accomplish that and then close that loop with that employee. It not only empowers your employees to go the extra mile, right? Employee satisfaction, retention. We've not lost, since we started in 2017, or I took over, we've only had 2 employees resign. And it was just because, it was either a time commitment or anything, but we haven't had anybody actually leave the organization. Even our contractors, we still have all the original ones, and we're only growing. And all I can really attribute that to is the culture that the organization has defined for itself, and making them feel heard, making them feel empowered to make the same changes that we want to do. My goal, as an entrepreneur in medical education, is to disrupt the industry and remove barriers, right? Their goal is to make their industry better from either a lion, guy, or gal perspective, and lead up and give those ideas and feed us, what they're seeing on the ground. Because, I have not been clinically practicing for the last 3 years, and I don't see what happens day to day, in the field, while they're actually working on patients or responding to calls, or just at their bases or stations doing education and training. What are those pain points? I rely very heavily on them to report back, and we will adapt to that. And so, having that and bringing that organizational culture into your own organization and fostering that, more importantly, it's not something that is easily achieved, but it is attainable. And when you hit that, I do think you become that industry leader. You become more innovative because you're getting all these ideas. You're seeing the broader picture and kind of where you can make your best plays or connect dots together. Because ultimately, that's what we do. We facilitate bringing things together to achieve a common goal or an end goal or a result. So, for me, it's been a lot of investment in people strategy, and organizational culture, and making sure that we do set the tone, and we are a leader, not only here, within medical education and training, but for the entire pre-hospital, and EMS community.
Well, and some really good insights there. And part of that is, like you said, the people strategy and the culture and developing those things. And I think a lot of that leads to great leadership and, innovative company, but it also requires a leader that has the right mindset. It takes a great leader to be willing to have that pushback from employees and accept that. A confident leader that is not afraid of, hey, I can accept new ideas. I can look at other possibilities, those kind of things. So
yeah, I think, you have to have humility. That's the biggest thing. You got to check your ego at the door. I've been fortunate enough to observe other CEOs, not growing up in the business world and coming strictly from, as a line flight paramedic and rescue tech. It's hard to go, well, what does a CEO do? What's that role? So it's kind of just, adapting and creating my own, but just from my team surrounding me has helped grow and kind of create my leadership style as well.
Well, great. So question number 5, I hear from other business leaders and CEOs, any that you would like to acknowledge or do a shout out to that might be good on the podcast?
Yeah, someone that I like to give a shout out because, like I mentioned, I don't have a lot of business experience, and this has definitely been something I built in flight, and been fortunate enough to learn. And there's nothing but time and energy that go into that, and you can achieve a lot with those two things. But my business partner, Jonathan Reed, the other thing is he also was one of the directors over at Bunker Labs, helping other startups and entrepreneurs, and he's kind of really been instrumental in me growing these last 3 years as CEO and learning business and just how to read a balanced loss sheet, and a P&L, and how to build business strategies and marketing and things like that. It's not something that just comes intuitively. We need to get pushed, and I think he's been a big proponent of pushing me to become the best CEO and best entrepreneur. And he also happens to be my business partner, but having him invest his time and energy in me has been very helpful.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we'll have to see if maybe he is available to give us some insights as well. So question number 6, just kind of a final fun question. Tell me about one of your favorite past bosses.
One of my favorite past bosses, and it wasn't for a very long amount of time. It was just for the time I was opening up new air medical bases in Southern Oregon, mainly like the Tillamook, where else did we go? Medford and Grants Pass. But his name was Kai McSwain, and the reason why I liked him and what really drew me to him is one, maybe I pull some of my leadership style from Kai, but Kai has helped me grow as an individual because he trusted me. He saw something in me that I didn't even see myself. He actually told me back in 2000 and what was that base? 2013, I think it was. That he said, someday you're going to be a CEO and you're going to be a really good one. I, at the time, it was not even on my radar to be a CEO or a program manager. I just wanted to be, doing the job that I was doing, which was opening up air medical bases for the company I was working for. But he really kind of took it and saw something in me and helped me, grow. And he allowed me to do what I needed to do. At the time, I didn't have a laptop to do the work that I needed to do as far as marketing for the company. He went out and bought me a laptop because I couldn't afford one. He really invested in me using his people strategy. And look where I am now. So when you look back at those individuals, maybe you keep a little wider perspective, but for me, it's always paying it forward. I've had great mentors along my career, and I hope to be a great mentor for others and help them continue to succeed and innovate and surpass me. That's the whole goal in growing our industry and growing ourselves.
And I think that's a common sign of a great leader is people that can look at others and see great things in them when they don't even see it in themselves and be able to develop that. So
absolutely. Sometimes we don't see that in ourselves, and we need someone to kind of call that out.
Right. Well, it has been great hearing your insights and having you on. Can you tell people how they might be able to reach out to you before we go?
Yeah, absolutely. If you ever need advice or you want to kind of reach out, you can always find me on LinkedIn at Flight Medic 911, or you can check out our website at iamed.us if you need to get a hold of us. See kind of the great education and training that we're doing over there.
Great. And again, thank you so much for being on. And this is Keith Weaver with the Top Executive Strategy Podcast. And for more insights and to follow us, you can find it at Weaver Business Coaching. You can find us on LinkedIn. And of course, listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. And we wish you all the best success.